Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Tell me if you guys like the lighting better. I usually have the light coming from the side, but I have a light above me as well. So if you guys like the light like this, you can comment to see which one. We're just experimenting. Also, as far as the video quality goes, the video quality will be much better after I hit 1,000 subscribers because then I can use mobile streaming, in which I will be able to use my phone to stream, and it'll be much better quality. Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to put on both of the lights to see. Actually, all right. No, I still like that dark vibe. Hold on. All right. Anyway, enough with the lighting. So we're talking about something important today. We're talking about another controversial piece. I was going to do a video about Connie and Annie, but I decided against it. I'm going to stick with my channel being about the ending. So we're talking about the ending again. And today we're going to talk about another very controversial piece of the ending. It's like every 4 seconds, I'm thinking of more controversial stuff. For the ending, and I have not read much A&R in this particular subject, but I will still be ripping into A&R. We're still gonna keep that tradition here. We're still gonna rip into A&R. Yeah. So take her to leave it, folks. All right. Anyway, now we're gonna be talking about Historia's baby. Yes, everyone wanted Mr. Chad Aaron to be the baby's father. Including me. Also, I didn't mention this in any of my previous videos, but I do want to mention this now. I'm actually not an Aaron Meekis shipper. I'm not. I never liked the relationship. I never liked the relationship um since the beginning, since episode 1. I never liked the relationship, and I was very happy when he told her that he hated her. I was very happy. I was very pleased. I never liked her, not even a little bit. So I just want to get that out of the way for people to think that I like have some sort of bias. I'm some sort of Aaron Mickelson shipper, and I'm like, happy about the relationship because it was my personal bias. I was biased against the relationship. Same thing with Historia's baby, which we're going to talk about, which we're going to be talking about in this video. I was not a fan of Historia's baby, of Aaron. I was a fan of Aaron being the father. That was actually my headcanon. I was like he was the father. So I have no bias. I actually have bias against what I'm going to be making up my points about. The difference between me and the other people who continue to say that's a bad plot point are people who are open-minded and simply cannot let go of their preconceived notions. I actually can. I can be swayed pretty easily with logic and reason, especially from someone like Isayama. I don't know why you guys are so upset. It's like, I do a political channel, and it's, in politics, it's not really logic. Like, if you're talking to a Biden supporter, right, you're not using, like, logic. You're not going to say, oh, well, Hunter Biden did this thing, right? Because they're not going to care about Hunter Biden. It's like I'm arguing with you guys about politics. It's ridiculous. It's like, why can't you guys just let it go? I know it's your headcanon, but like, let it go. It's not like you stuck your vote and your identity on Aaron being the baby's father. There's no reason to get all angry about it. It should be very easy to change your mind with something like this. That's just what I'm trying to say. But anyway, so just after I got those disclaimers out of the way, let's just jump straight into the video. There's a couple of reasons why Historia's baby, or Historia not being Aaron's wife, was a great plot decision. And also, I'll be looking into the alternative, which is him being the child of Historia's father, and A&R's A&R's rendition of this little thing. All right, so Historia's baby. The biggest complaint is the Chekhov's gun principle, which I've talked about on this channel, and I'll continue to talk about because Isayama is, as everyone knows, is a master of Chekhov's gun. So they're like, okay, so they show this baby all the time. You know someone's gonna be leading up to this baby, including me. I was like, oh man, this baby must be something made because um they're really hyping it up. And it's just there, and then it ends up being the random farmer boy. And I'll actually get into that. I actually probably should write that. I'm actually gonna write that down right now. Just so I remember to attack that, because that's another big thing. People were angry because he was throwing rocks at her. And now he's married to her. Um, so I'm just gonna write that down so I don't forget that. Again, these videos are all unscripted. Anyway, let's continue. So, she marries a random farmer boy, and she does not, in fact, marry the incel king, Aaron. And I say he's the king of the incels because the fake persona and the ANR Aaron is the rallying point uh, for incels. The incels love him because they have no understanding of love or human emotion, hence them being incels. And they also like him because they live in basements, and Aaron likes basements, so that's also why. But anyway, so he did not marry him. She did not marry him. It was a random farmer boy, and we actually got no dialogue from the baby, no dialogue between the baby, and that was that. So everyone's upset. Now, the reason why this was, in my opinion, why is this? Because again, the last chapter again does deserve criticism because it was incredibly rushed. But don't you dare go around blaming Isayama for that, because that is Kodansha's fault. Well, yeah, it's Kodansha's fault, but it's also Betsusho and Jump's fault. Because I said in my very first video that got deleted, I was saying you have all these major plot points that have been completely deleted because Betsusho and Jump didn't give him eight pages. And 8 pages obviously wasn't enough. He needed much more pages. Maybe he needed 12, 20 pages. Who knows how many pages he needed? But he needed a lot more pages to really flesh out the chapter. And so he had, not only was it rushed and was emotionally weak, it created thematic and narrative problems. I mentioned the headaches, which actually I actually have that video. It's ready to go. I just can't find a way to upload it. But we have the headaches that was completely unresolved. We have parody we have Aaron succeeding. We have no idea whether Aaron succeeded or not. It turns out he did succeed, just no one knew if he succeeded or not. And we also have Mikasa's love for Aaron, because everyone rightly was like, this destroys the entire message and plot of it because Mikasa is still attached to Aaron. This doesn't make any sense. Of course, I don't know. Again, I don't know why they would read an incomplete chapter. They knew it was incomplete. They knew it was not finished, yet they read it anyway. So again, there was legitimate problems with the 8 pages. Again, it's just 8 pages. There's legitimate problems with the earlier chapter, and just 8 pages was able to make 3 major plot points. Again, Mikasa's love for Aaron, Mikasa's headaches, and whether or not Aaron and Armin succeeded. They created narrative problems for all those 3 things, and of course, the 8 pages clarified that. And it's like, well, yes, Aaron did actually succeed. Armin and Aaron did actually succeed because it did let go of Aaron, and it was free, and she got the headaches because he moves in her head. Now again, when I was reading 139, I was like, oh, so it was Ymir causing the headaches because she was in her. That's what my headcanon was once I read it, right? But I read the full chapter all at once, so I already had my headcanon. The thing is, it wasn't clarified until October. Well, I mean the leaks, but it wasn't officially clarified until October about why she was getting headaches or not. So between October and April, I've been telling you, it's in my opinion that Ymir was in this and blah blah blah. So while Historia's baby, what I'm about to say about Historia's baby, while it is not confirmed, I have a pretty good idea. And again, I think the anime will clarify this a lot more, because I do believe Isayama has much more freedom with the anime and is much more flexible with the anime. So now, in my opinion, which I think is pretty solid, and again, the only reason why Isayama didn't put his in is because Kodansha and Betsusho and Jump decided to screw him over by only giving him 51 and 58 58 and 51 pages respectively. So my thing on why this baby was propped up or looked at, it was supposed to be, you're supposed to get an aha moment, but the aha moment really wasn't there. The aha moment has to be inferred. And here's the aha moment. This entire time, since before he kisses her hand, that even in the Uprising arc, you have this budding relationship between Historia and Aaron, right? He talks to her before they get kidnapped, after they get kidnapped, and he's like, he has gross affection for her, right? Um, and he does not want to send her into hell by having her eat her family every 13 years. Actually, I probably should add that in too. There's another point that I have. Uh, okay, so everything we have to eat her family every 13 years. So that is why she didn't. That is why he didn't want her to do that, because he grew more. I mean, he didn't want to do that to begin with, but he also grew more feelings towards her because she got more real. She coming down on Earth, and they got time to hang out with each other. And right before he gets his sword in his hand, so again, the whole Ymir manipulation theory is completely off the table. He's like, I don't want to send her to hell. I don't want to have her to be this baby machine and then having to eat our children every 13 years. And then he kisses her hand and gets the memories and blah blah blah. And then you are going through the rumbling, like, okay, I'm going to free Parody. Parody's going to be free. I'm going to take away the world's freedom. I'm going to destroy the entire world. Blah 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 blah. All this posturing, and then the giant plot twist came where it was actually he wanted to be killed because he wanted the Titans to go away from the Earth. Well, it was more complex than that, but basically he saw the future and he wanted to follow that future so that Mikasa could be free and everyone else could be free, including Historia. So when the baby comes, now you're thinking you're supposed to be like, aha, that's why this baby was being emphasized so much, because it's going to be something incredible just happened, something very very special just happened, and something that has been again foreshadowed and hinted to as early as, well, not the uprising arc, but as early as the end of the Return to Gigantia arc. And it's for the first time in 2,000 years. Again, this is incredibly special because for the first time in 2,000 years, the royal family can stay together. No breakups, no political interference. They can just be a family. Okay, and that's why that baby was emphasized so much, because you were supposed to be thinking, what's going to happen to this baby if Aaron is the father? Well, he's going to die. He's going to die after a year, right? And we will get into that and how that'll be terrible. Or maybe I just touched on it. But anyway, he would die after a year, and they're going to need to continue the cycle to uphold their power. So, was this baby really? You're supposed to be like conflicted about this baby. And I was actually thinking the baby. My actual headcanon was this baby was the last casualty of the war. And then, while I may say, well, how is the baby the last casualty? Because, well, if it was Aaron, if it was Aaron's kid, it would have been a boy. But seeing how the story's kid is a girl, I might not ever explain that. I just know what the gender was going to be based on Isayama's reign, based on the themes of the story. The theme of the story is that Historia's baby fits Historia's baby being a girl fits her perfectly, and Aaron's baby being a boy fits Aaron's character and theme perfectly. But anyway, I'm like, well, this baby's not going to grow up with the father at all, and that's going to be really painful. And also, it's going to have to eat its mom after a year, but we'll get to that later. So I was like, well, this baby's like a casualty per se, because this is like the last like parody person who's unfree, who's still affected by the Marleyans, right? But then when you realize that the Titans are gone, it's like a aha moment. It's like sort of like Reiner and his mom's relationship, or like Annie and her dad's relationship. You thought, oh man, it's so sad, they're gonna die after a year, and I can have time to mend the relationships. And then it's like, oh, they did do that, right? But see, they had dialogue around it. See, if the story would have like held her baby and said, oh, I get to be a family for the first time in 2,000 years or something like that, that would have probably been better. But of course, he didn't have time to. Again, he didn't even have time to put in the headaches or Aaron and Armin succeeding. He didn't have time to put any of that into his book at first. So and again, Aaron and Armin's conversation was completely and totally rushed. He didn't have enough time for that. So it stands to reason why he wouldn't put that in there. It's left for the audience to infer, because I mean, again, it is pretty obvious, because again, this is the first time in 2,000 years that this has happened. Now let's move on to another criticism of this, and that is these incredibly shallow people. They're probably freelance dating coaches on TikTok. They are whining because he threw rocks at her, and now he's married. Throwing rocks at her makes him unqualified to marry her. Now, number one, the first thing that just came to my head, Historia was willing to destroy all of humanity for her own selfish intentions back in season three. She called herself the worst girl in the world, so there's no moral high ground between the two. That's not my actual argument. That's just a random thought that I had, which is pertinent to the thing. But the second thing and the real big thing is, for those of you who've been married for over a decade, um, throwing rocks was not the biggest sin you committed against your spouse. It's not, and it won't be. You are going to sin against your spouse every year you are married. You're going to deeply hurt your spouse every year you're married, more than throwing rocks at her or him. And that's not going to be the worst thing you're going to do. And to say that him as a child years ago being sort of a bully, I mean, he wasn't really being a bully. No, let's say he's a bully. Let's say him being a bully as a child disqualifies him from being her husband. I mean, that's a not only I mean that is almost an unattainable standard. I was gonna say it's a high standard, but it's almost an unattainable standard. And again, who hurts who the deepest, right? Who hurts people the deepest? Is it people? Is it random strangers that hurt you the deepest, or is it people inside that hurt you the deepest? It's people in your family that hurt you the most because they have the most effect. So after he married her, you're just guaranteeing he's going to hurt her more than whenever whatever stray rock hit her path. I think I'm at the end of the stream soon, but whatever stray rock hit her path. That's ridiculous. Again, for those of you who've been married for a long time, even if you've been married for like 2 years, you know that throwing rocks will be the least of your concern. That is the least of your concern. Okay, so there's really nothing else to say about the rocks thing. I'm sure you guys understand. And you know what? It was again. That's why I said shallow people were saying this because I don't think a lot of people were actually saying this and saying this seriously. I think they're just angry that their incel king did not get Historia. I think that's just what most said about. Actually, another point here. Maybe I forgot it, or maybe I already touched on it. Oh yes. Now, another thing which I alluded to briefly, but I want to really elaborate on how terrible this is and how better it is that Historia's baby is not in fact Aaron's. Again, she under the and again, I always ask these people, what do you want to happen? What did you want to happen? And again, I have my answer with that disgusting pile of trash on this ANR. The worst fan fiction out there, the absolute worst. I mean, there's a ton of disgusting, lewd, poorly written fan fiction on the internet. This has got to be the worst. This is anyway. So, okay, so had Aaron the ANR ending, or the ending that everyone wanted, which is when the Incel King flattens everybody. Marley is gone, right? Marley's gone, Hazaru's gone, because they're traitors. Hazaru's gone, Africa's gone, London's gone. Well, I say London's because you see Big Ben getting trampled. You know, all this stuff is gone. Just Madagascar remains. Just Parody remains. And Aaron has 1 year left to live. Again, I do really want to emphasize this. I've not read. As of recording this, ANR is not finished. I've been trying to finish ANR, but it's not finished. Or maybe I can't find it. I can only find the first part. So I don't know if the Titans are going to be gone or not. But if they do have the Titans gone, it's going to be a serious problem because the Titans should still be around because there's no way they would leave. Anyway, so Aaron would die after a year because of Gershie Mirror. He would die after a year. So that means that he is going to deeply hurt his wife because, again, having your spouse die is a incredibly hurtful thing to do. And it's more hurtful than throwing rocks at somebody, I might add, years in the past. And then, of course, his daughter would have no father forever. Oh, and when I say forever, I mean like she would have no memory of him whatsoever. All she would know is that she was born and that necessitated a male, or a male. It necessitated a male. And every other kid she sees as a dad, and she just doesn't have one. Of course, she'd probably learn the story why, but her dad is dead. And then of course the crazy part about this is that the founder would have to get eaten by somebody, and it'd probably end up being the royal family. Now, one can make the argument that it wouldn't be the royal family. But who else would he give that incredible power to? Remember, this is a guy. This is the power to suppress everyone's memories and to have the army of titans at your command. Who else would he give this to? I mean, he might give it to someone else, but assuming he does give it assuming it's stay in the royal family, that would mean that at the tender age of 13, she would have to eat Historia. No, um, or either Historia would have to get injected by the Titan serum and die at 13 years, and then eat Eren, and then at the tender age of 13, she, the daughter, would have to eat her mother. And Eren's bloodline is gone forever. Well, actually, no, she can marry someone else. But at the tender age of 13, she's an orphan. She's a legitimate orphan. Again, I'm not saying this is hard proof, but it is highly likely that Eren would keep the Titan in his family, the royal family, the founding Titan. Again, even if he does it, because he did say he didn't want to pass on his attack Titan, although he only said that because he knew that it was going to be gone. But assuming that he did do that, and assuming that's your weak argument, then again, Historia still dies after 13 years, thus still being an orphan because Historia has to eat Eren. No, sorry, her dad dies. Sorry, her mom stays alive, but her dad dies after 13 years, and he's gone forever. And she gets open. The door is now open for oppression because now the founder has the power to erase everyone's memories but her and Mikasa's. Well, no, Mikasa's dead. To erase everyone's memories and suppress everyone, have the armor titans, blah 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 blah. And there's something that Historia can do about it. Or Historia's baby can do about it. I mean, so either option A, where she's an orphan at 13, or option B, she's fatherless and she's open to oppression. Which again, if the story's taught us anything, it's the simple maxim: absolute power corrupts absolutely. Not Isayama's own doing. I can't give him credit for that, but I can give him credit for a lot of things. But under the themes and circumstances of the story, it is very likely, if not certain, that in her lifetime, the Founding Titan's power would have been used against her, or deteriorated her quality of life in one way or another. Again, especially since she has a target of her back as being a person who's not controlled by the Founding Titan, so she would essentially have been an Ackerman under this new regime. Now let's talk about the alternative. Right, the other alternative, that being A&R, where Eren goes. Again, I didn't read much of this, but I know that Eren went to Flouch and he was like, "Listen, I'm so committed to the rumbling. To prove my commitment, I'm gonna get Historia pregnant." Again, this is a shallow incel type people who think that's cool and awesome for Eren to create life for political reasons. Not only to take advantage of a woman, that's horrible by itself, but the real main headline of both texts is that he created a new life for political reasons. I mean, I guess part of his political reasoning, I guess part of his political maneuvering is that he was supposed to care for this life, so he had something to go back to. So I guess I can sort of say I'm in the wrong for saying that, but still, he still manipulates Historian. He still creates this new life for his own political. Damn it! I'm a boo in here. He for his own political purposes. That's again. I'm starting with my weakest argument. I'm going to my higher argument now. The other argument I have is this destroys Aaron's character because Aaron has never ever been a father. Nothing about fatherhood has been alluded to with him. I mean, I guess sort of with Grisha, sort of. There's some, but he's always talked about his friends and Mikasa. Again, the song "Beautiful Cruel World," which I talked about yesterday, is about him and Mikasa. Okay, and then of course, Child of Evil seals the deal. And of course, there's "Call Your Name." He's not talking to his daughter or son. He's talking about his lover. So this um this weird thing where he's all of a sudden more committed to his family than to his friends is an actual character assassination and an actual retcon. That's an actual retcon. Um, because he's always been talking about his friends, always. And again, he didn't want to pass down his Titan to anybody because he didn't want them to suffer. He would have guaranteed suffering for somebody, and he would have guaranteed that his daughter was flawless for her entire life. Yeah. So that's why the NR ending is ridiculous beyond all belief. Is ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing. It's honestly the stupidest. And again, this was never properly foreshadowed either. You see, with the whole Mikasa thing, it was foreshadowed. We got "See You Later, Aaron." We got the cross on the tree where he's at. You got the praying mantis, the song, the other song. You got bits and pieces of romance along the way, but this fatherhood crap, very brief fatherhood, I might add too, because by the time this baby is born, you know, by the time this baby is born, it's over. It's over for the baby because again, after a year, her father's going to be dead, and it's going to create problems down the line. If the other situations, even the other situations that I said about prior, aren't accounted for, it's still going to create problems. Her not having a dad. I'm sure everyone by now knows that not having a dad in your life is seriously detrimental to a child's health. Okay, so I'll talk about the plot reasons for why Historia's Baby is the way that Historia's Baby is. And I'm going to talk about the thematic elements. During the Rumble, I think it's actually 134, Dawn of Despair, or In the Depths of Despair. Pretty sure it's Dawn of Despair. 134. You see her, she's giving birth to the baby. And she's giving that panel shown for actually two reasons. Again, you guys just thought that he just made this up out of thin air. That panel's actually shown for two reasons. Number one, the plot element. You're supposed to have anxiety when you see that, because not only is the world outside terrible, the curse of Ymir is still lingering around, and something has to happen with this. So, you're supposed to be like, okay, well, I'm being reminded of this baby, and like, well, yeah. By the way, speaking of that baby, what's going to happen to that baby? What's going to go on with that baby? And number two, you have the death, right, juxtaposed with life, and then you have the woman who actually, the scene where she holds up the baby over the cliff. You have that juxtaposed with birth, so it's creating a dichotomy between the two. It's a thematic element. Again, it's nothing to do with the plot. It's just a thematic. It's a cool poetic thematic element, which and again enhances the story. And then when you look back, you can see it there. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty neat. So that's another reason why it's there for thematic purposes. So again, this did not create any plot. Although there is a conversation that they have, and people were like, I just want to touch on one more thing before we end the video. There's a conversation between the two, and they're like, "Oh, we were baited because why is he asking her whether she should have a kid or not?" And of course, looking back, this question and this conversation makes a lot more sense if you're open minded. If you're just stuck in your head canon, then it makes no sense. But this conversation doesn't actually mean what you think it means. She asked him why if she should have a kid. Again, for two reasons. People think this is so simple, like he just made this up out of thin air, like he just took weed and started just writing this. It was like, oh, I don't know what I wrote and just published it. It was published and published. No, she had to ask this question for two reasons. One of them is apparent, and one of them you can one of them is better upon rereading because it makes more sense in rereading. And number one, she asked this question because it's been a great confidant in her life. Is that how you say it? Confidant? A person she confides in. She did this ever since the uprising arc, ever since the cave situation, ever since the ceremony. They've been tight. They have history together, and then they have guided each other through some pretty intense and pretty consequential and life changing moments. So they trust each other, and so that's why she's talking to him. Number one, and that's a pretty solid argument. Of course, you're going to talk to your friend. Should I have a kid? Of course, but the other reason why, and it's apparent after, is what I've been saying again. The royal family was a serious problem. She had royal blood. Something was going to happen with the founder. Something was going to happen with the attack titan. Something was going to happen with the warhammer. Something was going to happen with those things, and she was of royal blood. So she asked, well, should I even continue this line? And him knowing he's not going to send her into hell, and he's going to give her freedom to be the mother that she never had. I actually completely forgot about that theme. That's another. Actually, that's going to be the fourth or fifth or third point. That's another point. The mother that she never had to this baby, because she has the green light. She says, "Go ahead. The world's going to be great for your lifetime, and probably for the baby's lifetime too. And you're going to have to eat each other for 13 years. So, green light. Go ahead." And that's why he says yes. And of course, in retrospective, Isayama knew he was wearing this, and so she asked a question, and so he says yes. There you go. So that explains the conversation between the two, and I hope this gives you a new perspective as to why this happened the way that it happened. Okay, now for my fourth, third, or fifth final reason why this was a good decision. I actually said this earlier in the video, how Historia having a daughter makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's go right into it. So, when she grew up, she didn't see her dad that much. So her biggest relationship was with her mother, who never talked to her. You guys all know the story. Never talked to her, so much to the point that when she got thrown and got her nose, she enjoyed that because she got to have some time with her mother. Right, and again, extremely tragic stuff. Now let's move on to Frida, her big sister. I do believe that was her big sister, right? Yeah, that was her big sister, Frida. And Frida is a mother figure to her. She sees her all the time. All right. And wait, she got her memories erased? How is that possible? Because she's in the past? The cave? Anyway, so she sees Frida as a mother figure. And Frida's telling her about Ymir. Funny enough, she's telling her about Ymir. And how what it's like to be a lady. What it means to be a lady. And she's teaching her how to be a girl, how to grow up as a girl. You got dads, solar sons, how to be men. I can't use. I wish I could use Grisha, but I can't use Grisha's skill. And so she's teaching her how to be a woman, and she's a mother figure for her. So again, this is all interconnected and foreshadowing. I don't know how many have to tell you that Isayama was a mastermind, and there's Chekhov's gun behind Chekhov's gun. Anyway, but so this is all there. This is all foreshadowed, and her life story gets to stretch out, and then she becomes a queen. One might say the epitome of ladyhood. She's achieved the ladyhood, and now not only does she get to be with her, does the royal family get to be together and be a family for the first time in 2,000 years, she gets to now teach her daughter. Not only does she gets to be a mother to her daughter that she never had. She had a horrible mother. She's like, I'm not going to do this again. I'm going to be a good mother. This is my chance to be a mother to a daughter, because again, her mother was a mother to her. Her mother was a mother to Historia, who was her mother's daughter. I know it's kind of complicated, but basically saying she gets to be what her mother was, right? To her, only better. And on top of that, the whole lady thing, plus the Ymir, Freckles Ymir, about living for yourself, and being the epitome of ladyhood, being a queen, she gets to now input that into her daughter, who is a girl. Pretty sure it's a girl. Wait, isn't that a girl? No, I'm pretty sure it is a girl. So, into her girl, to her baby girl. And this again has been foreshadowed since the Uprising arc, which what aired in 28. That aired in, I don't know when it was written, but I know it aired in 2018 or 2017. And let's say 2018, and that's gonna be action done in 2024. So in the anime, that's 4 years of foreshadowing, 4 real life years of foreshadowing. So again, he did not just make this up out of thin air. This was deliberate. This was practical. And again, as with most things, this has a thematic and emotional value, and it, of course, moves the plot forward, and of course, is relevant to the plot. So that is why Historia's baby is a girl. That's what Historia's baby is a girl, and that is why, again, it was emphasized. And that is why Aaron's father, because again, now the baby gets to live a full and complete life. Because the whole point of this, again, was for the baby to live a good, full, complete life. She cannot live a good, full, complete life without her dad. Mom's important, but that is also important. But anyway, so that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys got new perspective. If you want to leave a comment below, you're always welcome to. Again, I always say this. Negative comments are very, very welcome. Go ahead, do whatever you want. Spend 4 hours. I'll probably read it. I'm a small channel. Not much to do. But you're so welcome to leave a negative comment. You're also welcome to leave a positive comment. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the video. This has been Beluga the Jaegers, and I'll see you later.